Welcome back to PCW, where today we are reviewing WWE Smackdown. Smackdown this week was missing out some of its biggest names. Principally no Roman Reigns, no Sasha Banks, but we also didn't have Cesaro, Seth Rollins didn't feature in the ring. The difference between this and Raw, of course, is that Raw without its top stars is nothing, whereas Smackdown continued to be very compelling TV. While the in-ring product wasn't particularly good or noteworthy, with only one match really delivering in that regard, the storytelling was very clear. We had a lot of forward motion in a lot of different areas, and some genuine tugging at the heartstrings for one. Plus a big return which is guaranteed to get the world talking. For PCW, I'm Tom Collahue. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't, and let's get started. Edge opened the show, and he will be featured every week in the build-up to Money in the Bank, and indeed every week in the build-up to SummerSlam as well, before then taking another little break. His promo was fairly standard Edge. I do feel once crowds are back, this exact style of promo is going to go the way of the dinosaurs, but at least Edge was able to get his point across in about 10 minutes. Backstage, Jimmy Uso approached Paul Heyman and essentially cut a much better promo in a fraction of the time, making it clear that tonight, Jimmy Uso is gunning for Edge. Our opening match was a tag match, with Big E and Shinsuke Nakamura on one side and Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin on the other. The story here is Baron Corbin, and to a lesser extent Shinsuke Nakamura. Big E and Apollo Crews were complete afterthoughts in this entire match. The evolution of the Nakamura-Corbin feud has been incredible, going from we're fighting over headwear to now potential bankruptcy and homelessness because Baron Corbin is growing a hermit beard. He was introduced as Baron Corbin, and his music was cut off. And his car was repossessed. The guy was walking around almost in tears the whole time. I care so much about this Baron Corbin. Am I so easy? Yeah, I'm pretty easy. I mean, I watch WWE regularly. How much more easy do you get? Baron Corbin lost the match here due to the distraction from Boogs, who's becoming a bit less likeable because he's really twisting that knife in Baron Corbin's back. Big E picked up the pin, which is nice, bit different, and they did announce that next week we will have one final Nakamura-Corbin match to determine who gets into the Money in the Bank ladder match. I'd imagine this is going to be Nakamura's moment, but I think the winner may have been announced later in the night. Our Bianca Belair and Bayley segment was a non-physical interaction, purely a face-to-face, in which Bayley was made to look a little bit scared, a new thing for Bayley. She has had a wealth of confidence leading into this, so it's nice to see an extra string on that bow. Bianca Belair challenged her to an I Quit match, and there were certainly suggestions that this might be Bayley's last match. My suspicion is that this will be her last match on SmackDown, at least for a while. Our second hour draw segment was the promised last man standing qualifying match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and honestly I expected Sami Zayn to take this all the way home. That is not what happened. Instead, we got a really well crafted match with great storytelling. Kevin Owens went for a few tables, genuinely took an insane beating, and after two haluva kicks, rolled out of the ring, got up, beat the crap out of Sami Zayn, powerbombed him through a table, through another table, onto the edge of the ring, and then walked off when the 10 was counted. I mean, he took a beating, got up, and then just demolished the guy. Sami Zayn has won one singles match since February. Yeah. But more importantly, Kevin Owens is in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't think he stands as a contender, but he would certainly add a lot to the match. For our big shock moment of the evening, Sonya Deville was announcing the next competitor for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, as there are not enough women on the SmackDown side to actually have qualifying matches. Zelina Vega was the choice. Now this is Zelina Vega, who was being reported several months ago that it was, Vince loves her, she's going to get pushed hard. Then she was fired. And just before being fired she posted that she supports unionization. Reports suggested at the time that she was unwilling to give up her Twitch and also her OnlyFans that she was using purely for cosplay content. All of that has now gone away. There is no OnlyFans for cosplay content. She has not streamed on Twitch in a while. Her channel has been taken over by her husband Tommy End, who has been released by the WWE, and her tweet about supporting unionisation is also gone. So WWE really won this one. As an extra little slap in the face, within 1 minute of action, she lost her return match to Liv Morgan. Good for Liv Morgan. Not a good sign of intent for Zelina Vega. That said, they must have promised her something to get her back, so maybe a briefcase and a title win is on the agenda here. Seth Rollins approached Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville backstage to rail at the injustice that was Edge, and the fact that Seth Rollins has not himself had a title shot. He's very, very angry at Edge, as you might expect. It's even more clear now that the plan for SummerSlam will be Edge versus Rollins. And for anyone who hasn't subscribed to my personal YouTube account, by all means search Tom Colohue and find it, because all of the news on Edge has been on that channel for a long time. They also announced that we would have, again, Seth Rollins versus Cesaro next week, and that match will be a Money in the Bank qualifier. Imagine for a moment that Seth Rollins wins that match. That Seth Rollins wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. That Seth Rollins cashes in during the main event between Edge and Roman Reigns, costing Edge the championship because of someone getting involved in a triple threat all over again. That's enough reason for a match. Otis squashed Angelo Dawkins, who was still taped up because of a recurring injury that Otis had essentially caused previously. Montez Ford is not back yet, and this tag team match will happen when it happens. At this point, I'm looking at Otis and Gable as potential next challengers for the Mysterios because of how well they're being built. And finally, in our main event segment, Jimmy Uso called out Edge. So Edge came out and beat the ever-living crap out of him. There was no Roman Reigns, there was no rebuttal, there was no Jey Uso. Edge just beat the crap out of Jimmy Uso. It's really that simple. There's nothing fancy here. It was just that in a segment. I mean, we were all expecting Roman, so it was a nice way to close. Made Edge look fantastic. Jimmy Uso, not so much. This week's SmackDown was very story driven. When it comes to Baron Corbin, when it comes to Zelina Vega returning, when it comes to Seth Rollins and his view on Edge, it wasn't about stars and individuals, it wasn't about wrestling quality, but we still did get a fantastic last man standing match. Instead, it was about little nuance and character development, and for that reason I found this really uniquely enjoyable. Very different to what you'd normally expect from a wrestling show, where you are supposed to look forward to the individual wrestling matches. They're supposed to be the highlights. Instead, Baron Corbin being chased around backstage with Boogs making jokes about him not being a king anymore was a highlight for me, because Baron Corbin is growing a hermit beard and I'm thrilled. Liv Morgan continues to get a push. She's gone over twice now, over Carmella and over Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega being more surprising of a victory. Will she make it into Money in the Bank? Who can tell? Will Sonya Deville make it into Money in the Bank? Who can tell? But for right now, Carmella and Zelina Vega are in Money in the Bank, and that's certainly at least a little bit better than the 4 people they could initially have fielded. For BCW, I'm Tom Colohue. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet, and thank you for watching.